At WrestleMania 26, CM Punk lost a match to Rey Mysterio, where if Rey Mysterio lost, he would have joined the Straight Edge Society. But how about what if Rey were to lose that match and join the Straight Edge Society? I look at a timeline of what would have happened with Rey Mysterio if he were to join the Straight Edge Society, and honestly, this would have been much better TV for SmackDown. I guarantee you that for sure. Well, let's just start from the beginning. So, we'll start from WrestleMania 26, CM Punk versus Rey Mysterio. CM Punk wins due to shenanigans from Luke Gallows and Serena. Also, on this show, Christian becomes Mr. Money in a Bank. That's important later. Also, on the card, Mickie James beats Michelle McCool for the Women's Championship. This is also important later. So, the SmackDown after WrestleMania 26, Chris Jericho comes out being frustrated that Edge speared him through the barricade and really hurt him. And Edge doesn't care. He even beats up Chris Jericho some more. And then he says, "Oh, Chris, I have a surprise for you." And then that's when Christian comes out, cashes in, and Christian is now your new World Heavyweight Champion. So Christian is the world champion. And later on the show, CM Punk addresses Rey Mysterio joining the Straight Edge Society, how he is going to be treated fairly if he treats them fairly. And as long as he doesn't follow the rules, if he doesn't follow any of CM Punk's rulings, then he will be fired. Basically, CM Punk has Rey Mysterio's contract in his hands, and Rey Mysterio has to do everything the man says. And the first thing CM Punk makes Rey Mysterio do is make him take off his mask. So Rey Mysterio is unmasked, and then he is forced to sit on a chair where Luke Gallows will shave his head, making him an official member of the Straight Edge Society. Then, the next night on SmackDown, it's all about number one contenders. So, there's going to be a women's battle royal to determine the number one contender for the women's championship. Serena Deeb wins that. And up to this point, Serena hasn't wrestled yet, but we all know that Serena Deeb is a megastar. So, Serena wins this battle royal. She gets an interview backstage. It's like, we haven't seen much of you wrestle, so how prepared are you for Mickie James, such a pro? And then Serena goes, Mickie James got nothing on me. She's the past. I'm the present. I'm gonna show people at Extreme Rules what I'm all about. That's important later. There's gonna be a beat the clock challenge where the winners will face Show Miz for the for the Unified Tag Team Championship. The Hard Dynasty beat Crime Time in under 6 minutes. Then Rey Mysterio and Luke Gallows are set to fight John Morrison and R-Truth, which ends in no contest because they didn't make the clock. And Luke Gallows is pissed at Rey, so Luke Gallows just beats the crap out of Rey Mysterio over and over. And even CM Punk and Serena come to stop Luke Gallows and say, wait. This is no way to respect a legend like Rey Mysterio. Just get him up. Listen, I will tell you when it's okay to beat him up. So then they just get up and then they have to like shake hands and then get out. And then in the main event is going to be a fatal four-way to determine the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship at Extreme Rules. It's going to be CM Punk, Edge, Chris Jericho, and Kane. And the winner will be CM Punk. CM Punk wins the match. And then Christian has a stare down with CM Punk. So at Extreme Rules, it'll be CM Punk versus Christian. And then the next night on SmackDown, it'll be Christian versus Luke Gallows, where if Luke Gallows wins, CM Punk picks the stipulation. If Christian wins, he picks the stipulation for Extreme Rules. Christian wins. And the main event segment of this show will be Rey Mysterio forcing Dominic Mysterio to shave his head. So Rey Mysterio has to shave Dominic's head because of CM Punk. So He shaves his head, and then CM Punk wants Rey to shave Aaliyah's head, but Rey Mysterio's wife refuses. CM Punk is like, fine, don't worry, I won't fire you, but I'm gonna teach you a lesson. And then he just starts beating up CM Punk. CM Punk starts beating up Rey Mysterio. Then Luke Gallows comes out to also beat him up, and then Christian tries to save Rey Mysterio, and then Serena kind of grabs him from the back, and then they all gang up on Christian. And the final shot is CM Punk standing tall. CM Punk, Luke Gallows, and Serena standing tall over Christian and Rey Mysterio. Then the go home to Extreme Rules, Christian announces that it's gonna be a steel cage match, that he just wants CM Punk, none of this. And trust me, I'm gonna teach you a lesson, Punk. Uh, I may just be world champion for only 4 weeks, but I'm gonna make the most out of it, and you are not gonna do anything about it. Basically, just hyping up the match. And so, anyways, at Extreme Rules, it's going to be Serena Deebs versus Mickie James for the women's championship. And this is me wishing they could do this. This will probably never happen in 2010. But if I had it my way, it would be Serena versus Mickie James in a ladder match for the women's championship. And Serena wins the match. And then afterwards, Serena decides to shave Mickie James's head. And after this, I believe Mickie James's contract expires. And I think Mickie James will be down to put over uh, someone like Serena who has talent. So it would be a cool moment. And then after this, side note, Serena Deeb basically becomes the workhorse of the women's division on SmackDown until she eventually drops it to Beth Phoenix. So that's important later. CM Punk beats Christian for the World Heavyweight Championship in a steel cage match. And this is caused when CM Punk jumps down the rope. Like, Christian is about to get to the door until Luke Gallows slams it on him, but CM Punk gets out before Christian, and CM Punk is now your new World Heavyweight Champion. Yes, Christian is a transitional World Champion, but he'll eventually have that epic run that he had with Randy Orton anyways. Don't worry about it. The next night on Raw is Draft Night. Yes, the next night on Raw is Draft Night, and CM Punk is happy to come on Raw as the world champion. But listen, he promises that he will stay on SmackDown, and matter of fact, he makes a promise. Whoever gets drafted to SmackDown will get a shot at the world championship at Over the Limit. CM Punk doesn't care who it is, but that's only if he wins his match. So a Raw guy, let's say Evan Bourne, this match really happened in real life, so it's CM Punk versus Evan Bourne. CM Punk wins cleanly, no interference from Gallows, Serena, or even Rey. CM Punk wins cleanly, and he's excited, and he says, yeah, whoever gets drafted will face him at Over the Limit. Who gets drafted? The Big Show. After losing the tag team belts to the Hart Dynasty, Big Show turns on The Miz, and now Big Show gets a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship, and now CM Punk is like, oh shit, I fucked up. Then the next SmackDown, uh, Big Show versus CM Punk for Over the Limit. It's a contract signing, and then Luke Gallows tries to attack the Big Show. He kind of gets the upper hand, but they all gang up on him. And then Rey Mysterio returns after being injured, and it looks like he's gonna try to save Punk. He's gonna attack Punk, but instead he goes after Big Show's leg, who's knocked down on the floor. They all gang up on the Big Show, and it's Luke, Punk, Rey, and Serena all standing tall. And the next week, Rey Mysterio explains that if he can beat him, join him, and he needs to stay under contract with the Straight Edge Society if that's what he has to do. If he has to do everything they ask for, then might as well. So, and he even said, like, yes, Punk and I talked. We made an agreement. Aaliyah won't get her head shaved. However, I will do everything I need to do for my family. And Christian is mad at this because it's like, this is not the Rey Mysterio he knew. So at Over the Limit, it's Rey Mysterio versus Christian in a one-on-one match where Rey Mysterio wins and then brutalizes Christian, breaks his arm on purpose, and Rey Mysterio is being booed out the building. Later on that night, Big Show versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's only 3, maybe even 4 minutes, but Big Show wins by disqualification. And then again, Luke, Ray, all attack the Big Show, and the Straight Edge Society stands tall. The next night on SmackDown, it's going to be uh, matches for the Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view, and Teddy Long announces that Big Show is automatically in the match because of CM Punk costing of CM Punk now winning fair and square. So Big Show gets a shot in it. Now, I was thinking of putting Christian in the Fatal 4-Way, but if we're going to play off an injury, we got to do it right. So in return, I decided to not draft John Morrison to Raw. He stays on SmackDown, and we do. John Morrison qualifies for that Fatal 4-Way. Also in that show, Undertaker beats Rey Mysterio. Luke Gallows is a little jealous, like, why didn't you let me face the Undertaker or something like that? And then CM Punk's like, Rey Mysterio has earned my trust. I guarantee you, I trust the man. And trust me, if he turns on me, you can beat him up for me. And Luke Gallows is smiling. But Undertaker beats Rey Mysterio, so the match is set. It's CM Punk, Big Show, John Morrison, and The Undertaker. But then, just like in real life, The Undertaker is in a vegetative state. Kane wants revenge over who destroyed The Undertaker or who put him in a vegetative state. Then a big battle royal is set for the night. It's a battle royal. Winner takes The Undertaker's spot. The final 3 are Luke Gallows, Rey Mysterio, and Kane. Kane eliminates Luke Gallows, and then Rey gets the upper hand and eliminates Kane. So the Fatal 4-Way is now CM Punk, Big Show, John Morrison, and Rey Mysterio. And from there you go on, and you have it's basically a 2-on-2. Big Show and John Morrison teaming up with Rey against Rey and Punk. And yes, CM Punk gets the upper hand. He wins by pinning John Morrison. He's happy. He's celebrated. Rey Mysterio grabs the world title. He looks at it for a while, gives it to CM Punk, and then you hear a gong. Undertaker and Kane reunite, forming the Brothers of Destruction, and they beat up Rey and Punk. Luke Gallows is MIA, but he returns this week on SmackDown to team up with Rey Mysterio to take on the Brothers of Destruction. The match doesn't have like a contest or anything, but basically this match is to set a message to CM Punk that the Undertaker wants revenge. And basically, Undertaker and Luke Gallows go backstage. Undertaker just annihilates Luke Gallows all over backstage, and it's announced that at Money in the Bank, it'll be CM Punk versus The Undertaker in a last man standing match. And the match goes the way you would hope at Money in the Bank. Hopefully a good match, because in 2009 they had meh matches. But Undertaker loses to CM Punk with the help of Kane, who was the real person who put him in a vegetative state. Because if you're going to push Kane this way, it's the only way that's going to work. So fine. Kane is the one to put Taker in a vegetative state. Fine. But CM Punk wins with the surprise of him. Earlier on that show, Rey Mysterio wins the Money in the Bank ladder match for SmackDown. So Rey Mysterio is Mr. Money in the Bank. The night at the SmackDown after Money in the Bank, it's CM Punk, Rey Mysterio, and Serena all coming out because Luke Gallows is out of action. CM Punk says that the reason why Rey Mysterio is in the Money in the Bank ladder match is because, one, he knew he was going to win. And for whatever reason, if CM Punk were to lose that belt, Rey Mysterio will cash in and give the belt to Punk once he wins. John Morrison comes out talking about how what a fluke champion CM Punk was. He's just been taking shortcuts and not being a real champion. And he wants a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. And matter of fact, John Morrison wants the match that night. He doesn't want to wait till SummerSlam. He wants it that night. And CM Punk says, you don't make decisions like this. But if you want a world title match, next week on SmackDown. So this is the big hype promo. Basically, they're hyping up John Morrison versus CM Punk for the next week. Oh, and after that promo of CM Punk announcing the match for next week, John Morrison looks at Rey and says, I'll be ready. That's important. So, anyways, CM Punk versus John Morrison, the main event of the next week on SmackDown. It's a good 15 to 20 minutes. Just give it time, show that people that John Morrison was a true main event star, and CM Punk wins clean. The first clean match, he wins. And then John Morrison says, hey, Punk, thanks for the match. But now it's time to meet your real opponent for SummerSlam. And then Rey Mysterio comes out with the briefcase, hits CM Punk with it, beats the crap out of him. And John Morrison and Rey Mysterio team up against him. And the next week, it's the Peep Show. Christian comes out with a broken arm and says that this was all a setup. Christian, John Morrison, everybody in the SmackDown locker room was in on it. It was just a way to get rid of the Straight Edge Society. They all teamed up to take out the Straight Edge Society. And the briefcase is set. He signs on the briefcase that he will cash in at SummerSlam against CM Punk. CM Punk says that you cannot do that with your contract. And then he's like, oh, that's right. I also signed that if I lose, I leave WWE. I don't go to Raw. I don't go to NXT. I don't do any of this stuff. I simply just leave the WWE for good. And CM Punk gets happy. Serena tells him not to sign. And CM Punk's like, get off me, woman. She signs. He signs, but then Serena's like, listen, you've been getting very egotistical. And don't forget, me and Luke Gallows were the reasons why you were standing tall. And then CM Punk's like, I was already a top player before you guys. If anything, you guys needed me more. Without me, you would not be the women's champion. And Serena says, you know what, screw you, and then walks away. So now it's just CM Punk and Rey Mysterio, him all alone. And because if this is going to be Rey Mysterio's last night, it's fair enough to bring back the mask. So it's Rey Mysterio with the mask versus CM Punk. And if Rey Mysterio loses, he leaves WWE. So give it 25 minutes. These guys could knock it out of the park. This could be a great match. But then CM Punk loses to Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is the new world champion. He is frustrated. And then that's when John Morrison, Christian, and the Big Show all come out, people who have been screwed over by Punk. They grab him, they put him in a chair, and they shave his head, embarrassing CM Punk. And Rey Mysterio is now your new world champion. Where do we go from here? So at Night of Champions, we could do Big Show versus Punk again, or CM Punk versus any of these other three guys, whoever you want. And if you guys remember my rebooking of the Nexus, spoiler alert, Wade Barrett becomes the world champion. We get all connected from here. And then everything's kind of connected. The only thing that wouldn't make sense is Kane and The Undertaker teaming up, but we could work our way around that. Anyways, it's me, the ALE XX Prince. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And until then, I'm out.